This was the week where Boris Johnson, the Tory Brexiteering prime minister with backwards Donald Trump hair, resigned in shame after nearly 60 cabinet members also resigned, essentially forcing his hand. Now, the two incidents that really did this were Partygate, which was when he had a party during lockdown in November of 2022, 2020. At 10 Downing Street, which we were kind of like in this country, we're like, yeah, everyone, like Gavin Newsom went to fucking like French Laundry. Everybody had a party.
I think he went to Sandals, Jamaica, actually. Yeah. Everybody was having parties. Everybody was eating ice cream. Like they were all doing it.
Everyone was having a party. But anyway, so it was that. But then specifically one of his cabinet members who he actually gave a raise to was a known sexual predator. So a little bit more on. Do we have? I forgot to send these. Anyway, it's okay. It's okay. So those are the two main things. Now, they don't seem like that damning of things, but then again, I'm not going to defend Boris Johnson. And when 60 members of your fucking cabinet resign, you should probably fucking resign. What is fun about this is to see how some in the American media reacted to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I will play this Fox News clip, but it wasn't just Fox. You even hear the ways that, like, you know, an NPR, like a New York Times, everyone's sort of like addressing this as so level-headed, like, oh, of course he would resign. And yes, and that's the honorable thing, you know. It's as if we have like no understanding that if it happened in this country, and it has happened a million times over under the Trump administration, in no world, not only does he resign, but sure as shit, 60 cabinet members don't resign. Yeah. Anyway, take a look at Fox and Friends breaking it down with absolute zero self-awareness of what this means.
He would say one thing and would do something else, and then would pop up in the tabloids. And then with this thing, it's a question of integrity. He has refused to go, even though people have been calling for him to hit the pavement for a while, because he would say, look, I had a mandate. I had an additional 14 million votes from voters who voted for me in 2019, so I'm going to stick around. And he stuck around until he saw the writing on the wall. 53 government officials called it quits. Apparently, his assistants were trying to fill the positions as quickly as people would quit, but they couldn't. And they were people who were in charge of security, the courts, technology, education, finance, Northern Ireland, and science. So clearly, that's a lot of the government with nobody running it, and so now he's going to leave, and without a doubt,
his problems really started with COVID. So he wasn't clear how he was going to handle COVID. Then he got COVID. He really went in the direction of the globalist, you know, lockdown, very serious, very stringent response, right. And then he was caught, of course, partying it up in what is now known as Partygate.
The globalist response. Just say...
You can just sneak that in there now. You can just say it now.
Just say Chinese. I'm sorry, but just say the China response. The China flu, the China response.
Do we think that's what... I assume they just mean Jewish. That's my assumption. That it's almost we're in the position where, like, best case scenario, they mean China, I think.
Right. Unless they think the Jews did COVID.
Yeah, I think that they think it was something. I'm like kind of joking, but not really. That they think, look, this is an international thing where, sure, the Chinese inflicted us on it, or it on us,
right.
But it is the Jews who are behind the scenes letting multiple countries and the UN use it to take away all of your, I don't know, the old school Disney you used to like. I don't know what they think they're doing, but they think it's bad. Yeah.
Absolutely, just all from Hollywood. They're in the Hollywood sign. That's where the Jews control everything from. Is from the H of Hollywood.
Exactly. And look, it's almost weird. Obviously, this situation, we can take a look at the fact that so many would resign. we've identified particular things that they resigned for that obviously would not happen in the United States. Maybe under Biden, maybe. But the fact that they elevated, a sexual assaulter, a known sexual assaulter, well, the Trump's entire White House was filled with them. Like, obviously,
Yep.
the fact that a party made him step down or whatever, like Trump, like yelled at a crowd saying we shouldn't be testing for COVID. Like, it's just so ridiculous. No, that does not mean that Boris Johnson and politicians in the UK don't do tons of stuff that also they should resign for. Like, they have higher standards, I guess, for ethics there. That doesn't mean that they have great standards. But yeah, the inability to see how the obvious overlap with Donald Trump, like Fox and Friends, they're not there to exercise critical thought when it comes to Trump. But so many people died, so many people, and it was part of Trump's strategy, the herd immunity thing, and he didn't have to step down over that. It's infuriating.
Well, it's funny because you're waiting for her to be like, oh yeah, his response was maybe inadequate or he defied his own rules, which, by the way, he had to pay a fucking fine and paid a fine for Partygate, which is incredible, and like literally said the words, I apologize. Which again, I feel like Democrats see this and they're like, that's a man of honor. You use the word apologize, even if he's totally not a guy of honor, but whatever. Like, you paid the fine, except, end of story. But Republicans look at that and they're like, oh, that's your first mistake, is admitting you did anything wrong. Like, they never apologize. And, and during the Me Too, moment and movement and the fact that it continues, it's like Republicans openly flaunted the fact that none of their people ever would apologize, and that's why they're still in office. Yeah. It's like, you got suckered into admitting your disgusting crimes. We just kind of roll with them, and then we, reelect our people. Anyway, but so you think she's going to go in one direction, like he needs to either be consistent, not be a hypocrite, or like a lot of people did die in the UK, but no, she just goes globalist with it. But it's like, it is kind of nice because you're like, at least you said the words like resign for, accountability, no longer faith in him, blah, blah, blah. My question is, when does the Republican Party jump fucking ship on MAGA? Like, and do they ever jump ship? Like, when do they actually think that their party is more worth saving? I mean, this is like when the Democrats like wet dream what they imagined. We're like, oh yeah, when Trump is elected, it's gonna, and people who had a terrible analysis about 2016, like when Trump is elected, it's gonna ruin the Republican Party. Oh my God, they're all gonna jump ship, and they fucking didn't. It was Noah's Ark, baby. They took 2 by 2. No one's jumping.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, and a nice comparison to the fact that the 59 ministers who resigned actually seemed to hurt him, and that was part of why he stepped down. What happens when people defect from the Trump administration, either during it or post it, which has happened? They tar and feather them. They smear them. They call them rhinos. I guess in this case they'd be Tinos. I don't know. With British, I don't know. But yeah, they destroy them. Boris Johnson could have gone in that direction, I guess, and just like mocked the wife of his beans and toast minister who stepped down or whatever. Like, they go about it in a very different way. There are people who will, especially after they lost, Stephanie Grisham and others are highly critical. And they were even at the time, Adam Kinzinger, Sure. But there's still this belief that it's rapidly going to spread. Kinzinger, I think today, was saying that within 10 years, no one will admit to having voted for Trump in 10 years. And I almost like the naivety there. I like the ability to still believe that a better future is possible. And I have no doubt that it will change. They're not always going to be in love with Trump, but it can get worse. Like, they moved on from Reagan to, like Newt Gingrich and George W. Bush. And then there was the brief thing with Romney. Maybe that's not worse. I don't know. But then Trump came. And like, whatever is coming after Trump, I'm sure there's something. But do any of us believe that it's good?
Nope.
That it's better?
No.
I believe it's gonna literally be a demon. That's all it's gonna be. Like, and so
you don't know
think
what's in his
we're
heart.
Look back. Yeah,
inside the demon's heart, he does want to help the working class. We just need a big, strong demon to run this country.
Exactly. Sure, he's a demon, but he understands that Disney's a squad of lesbos. That's what it's gonna be. Like, we're gonna someday look back on Trump and think, well, those were better times.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.